Hello everyone, welcome back to session 5. In this, we'll discuss the concept of closure. First thing, what is a closure? Closure are like code snippets that remember their lexical environment. When I say lexical environment, it basically means the birthplace of that code snippet. They carry the context of where they were created even when executed somewhere else. Now let's write some code to better understand this concept. I've created a file called as this and let me run the node server. So let's start by creating a normal counter function, right? So let count equals to 0, and I have created a function called as counter, and that what it will do is it will just return count plus plus, right? And I'll just call this method inside a console log multiple times, right? So now you see the output is basically like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And now there is a basic flaw with this particular implementation. Basically, as count is a global variable, anyone can update its value and that will break our code, right? So let's say if I update it here to count equals to 100, now my code is broken, right? I expected the output to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but the output is coming as 0, 1, 2, 3, 100 and 101, right? Now the first thing that will come to your mind is like, why should I have it here? Why can't it move? I move it in the local function, in the function itself, and then you'll realize, oh, that will mess up the complete code, because now the count is a local variable and it always gets initialized to 0 back, right? So it's not acting as a counter itself, right? This is where the closure comes in very handy. So let me show you how. Let me create a normal function called as get counter, right? So that get counter method, what it will have is the same piece of code that was outside, but this time rather than just creating a function, it will return a function, right? So get counter, what it is returning is a counter, and what it has in scope is the count as well as incrementing the count function, right? So now what I'll do is here I'll just add one line of code that my counter is coming from get counter, and now you print it, and this time you see that the code is coming as expected, the result is coming as expected. Now if I uncomment this line of code as well, where I am defining count to be 100, it will not affect anything inside this get counter method, right? Because this will get created as a global variable, but this will not affect anything which is inside this count variable. So this is where the closure comes in very handy. And now let me show you how you can debug the same thing and see the same thing in the Visual Studio Code, right? So to start a debugging session, what you need to go is to the fourth section, run and debug mode inside VS Code, and click on this run and debug modal, right? So once you click on this, it will put you into a debug mode. So this time I'll restart it, right? So now you see on the left hand side there are multiple options. That's a separate video, but in here I have just selected variables and breakpoints. If you want to select all other windows, that also you can select. The first thing that you see here is variables is divided into two sections. One is local and another one is global. If I go into local, right, what I'm seeing is that I have a counter variable, I have a get counter method, but the get counter is coming as defined, but counter is not coming as defined because right till now I have not set it up. So what I'll do is go to the next line. In this, the counter will get set. Now if you see on the left hand side, the counter is coming as a function, and if you scroll down and see inside the scopes, there are two different scopes in it. The first one is a closure and second one is a global scope. While if you go to a normal function, which is a get counter function, right, and go inside the scopes, here you only see the global scope, right? So inside this closure also, if you expand, you see that the get, it is basically coming from get counter, and the count variable is coming as 0, and that's how your counter variable knows what the count value is. And this is exactly the concept of closure. So if I have run the window, I see the exact output, and that is it for this video. Thanks for watching.